What or who is CG International? That's often a question we get asked. And I think our mission statement probably answers that best. To be a community to newcomers to our city, becoming friends with them so that they become part of the family of God. Back in the beginning of 2021, there were 6 of us that got together. Not really sure what path we were going to be on, but Ken and Rena Dessa, Selena and Adolfo Guzman, and Kevin and myself. And CG International started. God had already brought into our lives people from various countries, and as the year unfolded, he caused more and more people to cross paths with us. Whether it was students from Royal Roads or other universities who we met, or some of them were showing up at West Village Church. Others were people that Ken met working at Walmart. And there was other circumstances.
The last year and a half has been an exciting season of getting invited into what God is doing in the international community here in Victoria. I saw him bring together a dream team of 6 beautiful people.
During the summer season, we've held picnics on the grounds of Royal Roads with different country themes that involves games, fun, and food. A really fun one was the Bollywood event, where we had great participation with some awesome and complicated dance moves that took Ken a week to recover from. It truly is an awesome community where we build friendships, relationships, and opportunities to do life with one another.
We want people to know that God is a God who loves and welcomes in the stranger. Time and time again throughout the Bible, God gives explicit instructions to help the widow, the orphan, and the foreigner. God cares deeply for the outsider and the marginalized. Helping the foreigner and bringing them into community is a beautiful picture of the gospel. In Ephesians 2, Paul tells us the gospel is the good news that God brought near those who were once far. Those who were foreigners are now fellow citizens. Those who were outsiders and orphans are now part of the household of God, are now family. If anybody asks us why we are doing what we are doing, we can say that it's because we believe in a God who loves foreigners, and we believe in a God who draws people into community and into his family. We want to be a picture of the God we love and serve, and we want our friends to experience his love and to be drawn into their own relationship with him.
Even before the 6 of us got together in early 2021 to simply have discussions about the possibility of forming a new CG, God had been preparing each of us and using significant pieces of our past. It's beautiful to see the many threads the Spirit has been weaving together into the tapestry we are now a part of.
God redeems the painful and broken parts of our life and often uses these to shape the passions which fuel the mission he has called us to. In my life, God has used the pain of displacement to shape my passions. My 4 siblings and I grew up between 2 countries, Bolivia and Canada. My parents were missionaries in the traditional sense of the word. They left their home country of Canada to tell people the good news about Jesus in Bolivia, South America. Though Bolivians by birth, we were always viewed and treated as foreigners. Though Canadian by heritage, we always felt like foreigners in Canada. We felt displaced, with no place to belong. Over the years, God has used my pain to develop a burden for foreigners who come to Canada, people who have left their homes, their families, their friends, their culture, to come to a place where they do not belong and where they feel completely alone.
God has been impressing upon us more and more the importance of prayer. Our monthly planning meetings are now called prayer and planning meetings. Our core leadership group of 6 pray regularly for the people we know. In late 2021, as the numbers of international friends was continually growing, God led us to divide all the names amongst us 3 couples and be intentional about praying for that smaller group over the course of the month. Each month, we revise the list of names if needed and rotate who we are praying for, including each other. Prayer has also become the bookends for our monthly potlucks, or even smaller get-togethers, usually over a meal. Not surprising is the prayer before we eat, but praying before we part ways has its own special story. as the saying goes, out of the mouths of babes. It was a young 4-year-old boy amongst our international friends who first prompted us to circle up and hold hands to pray before we part. This was a year ago and has become a habit since. The gospel is being planted in a natural way.
There have been many opportunities to pray for our friends in person and see God answer quite specific prayers. One instance that comes to mind is when I went over to an international friend's place the night before her job interview. She allowed me to hold her hand and pray over her. God granted her this job, which was so much better suited to her skill set than previous jobs had been.
Other things we've prayed with our friends about have concerned housing, immigration processes, times of sickness, as well as journeying with them when they're faced with the loss of a relative who has died far away. Do we always succeed? No, sometimes we fail to keep our eyes on Jesus. But He never fails us. He is always there. He gently, or sometimes more dramatically, reminds us to lean on Him, to remain in Him.
Our prayer is that we build a community that is a safe haven and will include people from all nations, welcome them into our homes, do one-on-one meetings, pray with them when we are asked to do so or when a need arises, offer advice if asked, and be available. We've learned that we are not Jesus, but vessels that He uses and works through. Our prayer is that the perfume and radiance of Jesus will shine on and in us as He draws people to Him.